Scripture portions of the day. Week 47. Deuteronomy 26 to 29.
Deuteronomy 26. 1. And it shall be when thou shalt have entered into the land, which Jehovah thy Elohim gives thee to inherit it, and thou shalt have inherited it, and thou shalt have dwelt upon it. 2. That thou shalt take of the first of the fruits of thy land, which Jehovah thy Elohim gives thee, and thou shalt put them into a basket, and thou shalt go to the place which Jehovah thy Elohim shall choose to have his name called there. 3. And thou shalt come to the priest who shall be in those days, and thou shalt say to him, I testify this day to Jehovah my Elohim, that I am come into the land which Jehovah sware to our fathers to give to us. 4. And the priest shall take the basket out of thine hands, and shall set it before the altar of Jehovah thy Elohim. 5. And he shall answer and say before Jehovah thy Elohim, my father abandoned Syria, and went down into Egypt, and sojourned there with a small number, and became there a mighty nation and a great multitude. 6. And the Egyptians afflicted us, and humbled us, and imposed hard tasks on us. 7. And we cried to Jehovah our Elohim, and Jehovah heard our voice, and saw our humiliation, and our labor, and our affliction. 8. And Jehovah brought us out of Egypt himself with his great strength, and his mighty hand, and his high arm, and with great visions, and with signs, and with wonders. 9. And he brought us into this place, and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. 10. And now, behold, I have brought the first of the fruits of the land, which thou gavest me, O Jehovah, a land flowing with milk and honey. And thou shalt leave it before Jehovah thy Elohim, and thou shalt worship before Jehovah thy Elohim. 11. And thou shalt rejoice in all the good things, which Jehovah thy Elohim has given thee, thou and thy family, and the Levite, and the stranger that is within thee. 12. And when thou shalt have completed all the tithings of thy fruits in the 3rd year, thou shalt give the 2nd tenth to the Levite, and stranger, and fatherless, and widow, and they shall eat it in thy cities, and be merry. 13. And thou shalt say before Jehovah thy Elohim, I have fully collected the holy things out of my house, and I have given them to the Levite, and the stranger, and the orphan, and the widow, according to all commands which thou didst command me. I did not transgress thy command, and I did not forget it. 14. And in my distress I did not eat of them, I have not gathered of them for an unclean purpose, I have not given of them to the dead, I have hearkened to the voice of Jehovah or Elohim, I have done as thou hast commanded me. 15. Look down from thy holy house, from heaven, and bless thy people Israel, and the land which thou hast given them, as thou didst swear to our fathers, to give to us a land flowing with milk and honey. 16. On this day Jehovah thy Elohim charged thee to keep all the ordinances and judgments, and ye shall observe and do them, with all your heart, and with all your soul. 17. Thou hast chosen Elohim this day to be thy Elohim, and to walk in all his ways, and to observe his ordinances and judgments, and to hearken to his voice. 18. And Elo-heem has chosen thee this day that thou shouldest be to him a peculiar people, as he said, to keep his commands. 19. And that thou shouldest be above all nations, as he has made thee renowned, and a boast, and glorious, that thou shouldest be a holy people to Jehovah thy Elohim, as he has spoken. Deuteronomy 27. 1. And Moses and the elders of Israel commanded, saying, Keep all these commands, all that I command you this day. 2. And it shall come to pass in the day when ye shall cross over Jordan into the land which Jehovah thy Elohim gives thee, that thou shalt set up for thyself great stones, and shalt plaster them with plaster. 3. And thou shalt write on these stones all the words of this law, as soon as ye have crossed Jordan, when ye are entered into the land, which Jehovah Elohim of thy fathers gives thee, a land flowing with milk and honey, according as Jehovah Elohim of thy fathers said to thee. 4. And it shall be as soon as ye are gone over Jordan, ye shall set up these stones, which I command thee this day, on Mount Gebal, and thou shalt plaster them with plaster. 5. And thou shalt build there an altar to Jehovah thy Elohim, an altar of stones, thou shalt not lift up iron upon it. 6. Of whole stones shalt thou build an altar to Jehovah thy Elohim, and thou shalt offer upon it whole burnt offerings to Jehovah thy Elohim. 7. And thou shalt there offer a peace offering, and thou shalt eat and be filled, and rejoice before Jehovah thy Elohim. 8. And thou shalt write upon the stones all this law very plainly. 9. And Moses and the priests the Levites spoke to all Israel, saying, Be silent and hear, O Israel, this day thou art become a people to Jehovah thy Elohim. 10. And thou shalt hearken to the voice of Jehovah thy Elohim, and shalt do all his commands and his ordinances, as many as I command thee this day. 11. And Moses charged the people on that day, saying, 12. These shall stand to bless the people on Mount Gerizim, having gone over Jordan: Simeon, Levi, Judas, Issachar, Joseph, and Benjamin. 13. And these shall stand for cursing on Mount Gebal: Reuben, Gad, and Aser, Zabulon, Dan, and Naphtali. 14. And the Levites shall answer and say to all Israel with a loud voice. 15. Cursed is the man whosoever shall make a graven or molten image, an abomination to Jehovah, the work of the hands of craftsmen, and shall put it in a secret place. And all the people shall answer and say, So be it. 16. Cursed is the man that dishonors his father or his mother. And all the people shall say, So be it. 17. Cursed is he that removes his neighbor's landmarks. And all the people shall say, So be it. 18. Cursed is he that makes the blind to wander in the way. And all the people shall say, So be it. 19. Cursed is every one that shall pervert the judgment of the stranger, and orphan, and widow. And all the people shall say, So be it. 20. Cursed is he that lies with his father's wife, because he has uncovered his father's skirt. And all the people shall say, So be it. 21. Cursed is he that lies with any beast. And all the people shall say, So be it. 22. Cursed is he that lies with his sister by his father or his mother. And all the people shall say, So be it. 23. Cursed is he that lies with his daughter-in-law. And all the people shall say, So be it. Cursed is he that lies with his wife's sister. And all the people shall say, So be it. 24. Cursed is he that smites his neighbor secretly. And all the people shall say, So be it. 25. Cursed is he whosoever shall have taken a bribe to slay an innocent man. And all the people shall say, So be it. 26. Cursed is every man that continues not in all the words of this law to do them. And all the people shall say, So be it.
Deuteronomy 28, Septuagint. And it shall come to pass, if thou wilt indeed hear the voice of Jehovah thy Elohim, to observe and do all these commands which I charge thee this day, that Jehovah thy Elohim shall set thee high above all the nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come upon thee, and shall find thee, if thou wilt indeed do and hear the voice of Jehovah thy Elohim. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the offspring of their body, and the fruits of thy hand, and the herds of thy oxen, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy barns and their stores. Blessed shall thou be coming in and when they go out. Jehovah, deliver thine enemies that withstand thee, utterly broken before thy face. And they shall come out against thee one way, but they shall leave 7 ways from before thee. Jehovah send upon thee his blessings in the barns, and all that which is thou hast put on their hands, and in the land which Jehovah thy Elohim gives thee. Jehovah raise thee up for himself a holy people, as he sware to thy fathers, if thou shalt hear his voice of Jehovah thy Elohim, and walk in his ways. And all the nations of the earth shall see thee, and the name of Jehovah is called upon thee, and they shall stand in awe of thee. And Jehovah thy Elohim shall multiply thee for good in the offspring of thy body, and in the offspring of thy cattle, and the firstfruits of thy land, and the land which Jehovah sware to thy fathers to give thee. May Jehovah open to thee his good treasure, the heaven, to give rain to thy land in season, that he may bless all the works of thy hand, so that he may lend many nations, but those shall not borrow. And thou shalt rule over many nations, but they shall not rule thee. Jehovah thy Elohim shall make thee head, and not the tail. And thou shalt be above, and thou shalt not be below. If thou wilt hearken to the voice of Jehovah thy Elohim, in all things that I charge thee this day to observe, thou shalt not turn aside from any of the commandments which I charge thee this day, in the right hand to the left, and to go after other gods to serve them. But it shall come to pass, that if thou wilt not hearken to the voice of Jehovah thy Elohim, to observe all his commandments, and as many as I charge thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee, and overtake thee. Cursed shall thou be in the city, cursed shall thou be in the field, cursed shall be in thy barns, cursed shall be the offspring of thy body, and the fruits of thy land, and the herds of thine oxen, and flocks, and sheep. Cursed shall be in the coming in, and cursed shall ye be on the going out. Jehovah thy Elohim send upon thee want, and famine, and consumption of all things, on which thou shalt put thy hand, until he has utterly destroyed thee, until he hath consumed thee quickly of all thine evil devices, because thou hast forsaken thee. Jehovah shall cause the pestilence to cleave to thee, until he has consumed thee off the land, which thou go to inherit it. Jehovah smite thee with distress, and fever, and cold, inflammation, and blight, and paleness, and they shall pursue thee until they have destroyed thee. And thou shalt have over thine head a sky of brass, and the earth underneath shall be as iron. Jehovah thy Elohim make the rain on the land dust, and dust shalt thou come down from heaven, until it shall have been destroyed thee, and until it shall have quickly consumed thee. Jehovah give thee for slaughter before thine enemies. Thou shalt not go out against them one way, and flee from the face 7 ways, and thou shalt be dispersed in all the kingdoms of the earth. And your dead men shall be food for the birds of the sky, and the beasts of the earth, and there shall be none to scare them away. Jehovah smite thee with the botch of Egypt, in the seat, and the malignant scab, and itch, and thou canst be healed. Jehovah smite thee with insanity, and blindness, and astonishment of mind. Then thou shalt be groping in the midday, and blind man shall grope in the darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And then thou shalt be unjustly treated, and plunder continually, and there shall be no helper. And thou wilt take a wife, and another man will have her. And you shall build a house, and thou shalt not dwell in it. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes of it. And thy calf shall be slain before thee, and thou shalt not eat it. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from thee, and thou shalt not be able to restore thee. Thy sheep shall be given to thine enemies, and thou shalt have no helper. And thy sons and thy daughters shall be given to another nation, and thine eyes, wasting away, shall look upon them. Thy hand shall have no strength. A nation, which thou knowest not, shall eat the produce of thy land, and all thy labors, and thou shalt be injured and crushed always. And thou shalt be distracted, because of the sights of thy eyes which thou shalt see. Jehovah smite thee with an evil sore, and the knees and the legs, and thou shalt not be able to be healed in the sole of thy foot, to the crown of thy head. Jehovah carry thee away, and thy princes, whom thou shalt set over thee, to the nation which neither thou thy fathers known, and they shall serve other gods, wood and stone. And it shall be therefore a wonder, and a parable, and a tale among all the nations, to which Jehovah thy Elohim shall carry thee away. And thou shalt carry forth much seed into the field, and that shall bring in little, because of the locust shall devour it. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, dress it, thou shalt drink the wine, neither shalt thou delight thyself with it, because the worm has devoured it. Thou shalt have olive trees in thy borders, and thou shalt not anoint thee with oil, because the olive shall utterly cast its fruit. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, and they shall not be thine, for they shall depart into captivity. And all thy trees and the fruit of thy land shall be blight consumed. The stranger that is within thee shall get up very high, and thou shalt come down very low. And he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. And he shall be for the head, and thou shalt be for the tail. And these are the curses that shall come upon thee, and they shall pursue thee, and shall overtake thee until he has consumed thee, until he have destroyed thee, because thou didst not hearken to the voice of Jehovah thy Elohim, to keep his commands and his ordinance, which he hath commanded thee. And these things which thou shalt be assigned to thee in wonders amongst thy seed forever, because thou didst not serve Jehovah thy Elohim with gladness and good heart, because of the abundance of all things. And thou shalt serve thine enemies, and which Jehovah thy will send forth against thee, in hunger and thirst and nakedness, in the want of all things. And thou shalt wear upon thy neck a yoke of iron till he hath destroyed thee. Jehovah shall bring upon thee a nation from an extremity of the earth, like the swift flying of an eagle, a nation whose voice shall not understand, a nation bold in countenance, which shall not respect the persons of an aged, and should not have pity to the young. And ye shall eat up the young of thy cattle, and of the first fruits of the land, so as not to leave them corn, wine, oil, herds of thine oxen, and the flocks of the sheep, until ye shall be destroyed thee, and have utterly crushed thee in the cities, until high and strong walls be destroyed, which thou hast trusted. In all thy land it shall be as to thee in thy cities. And thou shalt eat the fruit of the body, and flesh of thy sons and thy daughters, and all he that giveth thee in all the straitness and all the affliction, which thine enemies shall afflict thee. He that is tender and very delicate within thee shall look with an evil eye upon his brother, and the wife of thy bosom, and the children that are left, which have been left to him, so as not give to one of them of the flesh of the children whom he shall eat, because he has nothing left to him in thy straitness, and thy affliction, which thou, thy enemy, shall afflict thee in all thy cities. And she is tender and delicate among you, whose foot has not essayed to go upon the earth, for delicacy and tenderness shall look upon the evil eye of her husband, in her bosom, and her son and her daughter, and her offspring shall come up between her feet, and the child which she shall bear, and she shall eat them because of the want of all things, secretly in the straitness, and in thy affliction, with which thine enemies shall afflict thee in thy cities, if thou wilt not hearken to all the words of the law, which has been written in this book, to fear this glorious and wonderful name, Jehovah thy Elohim. Then Jehovah shall magnify this plague, and the plagues of thy seed, great and wonderful plagues, an evil abiding disease. And he shall bring upon thee all the evils planned of Egypt, which thou hast been afraid, and they shall cleave to thee. And Jehovah shall bring thee upon every sickness, every plague that is not written, every one that is written in the book of the law, until he hath destroyed thee. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of the sky in multitude, because thou didst not hearken to the voice of Jehovah thy Elohim. And it shall come to pass, as Jehovah rejoiced over you to do good, and to multiply you, so Jehovah will rejoice over you to destroy you. And ye shall be quickly removed from the land into which you go to inherit. And Jehovah thy Elohim shall scatter thee amongst all the nations, from one end of the earth to the other, and thou shalt serve other gods, wood and stone, which thou didst not know, nor thy fathers. Moreover, those nations will not give thee quiet, neither by the means shall the sole of the foot shall rest. And Yeshua, Jehovah, shall give thee another and a misgiving heart, failing eyes, and a wasteful soul. And thy life shall be as in suspense before thine eyes, and thou shalt be afraid by day and by night, and thou shalt have no assurance in thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, would it be evening? In the evening thou shalt say, would it be morning? For the fear of thine heart which is thou hast shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou now seest. And Jehovah shall bring thee back into Egypt in ships, by the way which I said, thou shalt not see it again, and you shall be sold there in your enemies, for bondsmen and bondswomen, and shall not buy.
Deuteronomy 29, Septuagint. And these are the words of the covenant which Jehovah commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, besides the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. And Moses called all the sons of Israel, and said to them, you have seen all these that Jehovah did in the land of Egypt before you, to Pharaoh and his servants and all his land, the great temptations which thine eyes have seen, the signs, and those great wonders. Yet Jehovah Elohim has not given you a heart to know, and eyes to see, and ears to hear until this day. And he led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your garments will not grow old, and your sandals will not be worn off your feet. You did not eat bread, you did not drink wine, nor strong drink, that ye might know that I am Jehovah your Elohim. And you came as far as this place, and there came forth Sihon, king of Heshbon, and Og, the king of Bashan, to meet us in war. And we smote them, and took their land. And I gave it as an inheritance to Reuben and Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. And ye shall take heed to do all the words of this covenant, that you may understand all the things you shall do. You all stand today before Jehovah thy Elohim, the heads of your tribes, and your elders and judges, and your officers, every man of Israel, your wives, your children, and the stranger that is in the midst of your camp, from your hewer of woods even to the drawer of water, that thou shouldest enter into the covenant of Jehovah thy Elohim, and into his oaths, as many as Jehovah thy Elohim appoints to thee this day, that he may appoint thee to himself for a people, and they might be thy Elohim, as he said to thee, and as he sware to thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and I do not appoint to you alone this covenant and this oath, but to those also who are here with you today before Jehovah your Elohim, and to those who are not here with you today. For you know how we dwell in the land of Egypt, how we come through the midst of the nations through whom ye came, and ye beheld their abominations and their idols, woods and stones, silver and gold, which are among them. Lest there be among you a man or woman or family, tribe, whose heart has turned aside from Jehovah thy Elohim, having gone to serve the gods of these nations, lest there be a root of spring up to you with gall and bitterness. And it shall be, if one shall hear the words of this curse, and shall flatter himself in his heart, saying, Let good happen to me, for I will walk in the air of my heart, lest the sinner destroy the guiltless with him. Elohim shall by no means be willing to pardon him. But then the wrath of Elohim, Jehovah, and his jealousy shall flame out against the man, and all the curses of that covenant shall attach themselves to him, which are written in this book, and Jehovah shall blot out his name from under heaven. And Jehovah shall separate that man from evil of all the children of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the law. And another generation shall say, Even your sons shall rise up after you, and the stranger who shall come from the land afar off shall see the plagues of the land, and their diseases, which Jehovah has sent upon it. Brimstone, burning salt, the whole land shall not be sown, neither shall any green thing spring, nor rise upon it. As Sodom and Gomorrah were overthrown, Adam and Sebonim, which Jehovah overthrew in his wrath and anger. And all the nations shall say, Why has Jehovah done this to this land? And what is this great fierceness of anger? And men shall say, Because they forsook the covenant to Jehovah Elohim of their fathers, and things which he appointed to their fathers, which he brought them out of the land of Egypt. And he went and served other gods, and they knew not, neither did he assign them to them. And Jehovah was exceedingly angry in the land, to bring upon it according to all the curses which are written in the book of the law. And Jehovah removed them from their land in anger and wrath and very great indignation, cast them out in another land at the present. And the secret things that belong to Jehovah, our Elohim, but the things that are revealed belong to us and our children forever, to do all the words of this law.
Haggai 1-2.
Haggai 1:1. In the 2nd year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, on the first day of the month, the word of Jehovah came by the hand of the prophet Aggeus, saying, Speak to Zerubbabel the son of Salathiel, of the tribe of Judah, and to Jesus the son of Josedech, the high priest, saying, 2. Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, saying, This people say, The time is not come to build the house of Jehovah. 3. And the word of Jehovah came by the hand of the prophet Aggeus, saying, 4. Is it time for you to dwell in your sailed houses, whereas our house is desolate? 5. And now thus saith Jehovah Almighty, Consider your ways, I pray you. 6. You have sown much, but brought in little. You have eaten, and are not satisfied. You have drunk, and are not satisfied with drink. You have clothed yourselves, and have not become warm thereby. And he that earns wages has gathered them into a bag full of holes. 7. Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, Consider your ways. 8. Go up to the mountain, and cut timber, build the house, and I will take pleasure in it, and be glorified, saith Jehovah. 9. You looked for much, and there came little, and it was brought into the house, and I blew it away. Therefore thus saith Jehovah Almighty, Because my house is desolate, and ye run every one into his own house. 10. Therefore shall the sky withhold dew, and the earth shall keep back her produce. 11. And I will bring a sword upon the land, and upon the mountains, and upon the corn, and upon the wine, and upon the oil, and all that the earth produces, and upon the men, and upon the cattle, and upon all the labors of their hands. 12. And Zerubbabel the son of Salathiel, of the tribe of Judah, and Jesus the son of Josedech, the high priest, and all the remnant of the people, hearken to the voice of Jehovah their Elohim, and the words of the prophet Aggeus, according as Jehovah their Elohim had sent him to them, and the people feared before Jehovah. 13. And Aggeus, Jehovah's messenger, spoke among the messengers of Jehovah to the people, saying, I am with you, saith Jehovah. 14. And Jehovah stirred up the spirit of Zerubbabel the son of Salathiel, of the tribe of Judah, and the spirit of Jesus the son of Josedech, the high priest, and the spirit of the remnant of all the people, and they went in, and wrought in the house of Jehovah Almighty, their Elohim. 15. on the 24th day of the 6th month, in the 2nd year of Darius the king. Haggai 2. 1. In the 7th month, on the 21st day of the month, Jehovah spoke by Aggeus the prophet, saying, 2. Speak now to Zerubbabel the son of Salathiel, of the tribe of Judah, and to Jesus the son of Josedech, the high priest, and to all the remnant of the people, saying, 3. Who is there of you that saw this house in her former glory? And how do you now look upon it, as it were nothing before your eyes? 4. Yet now be strong, O Zerubbabel, saith Jehovah, and strengthen thyself, O Jesus the high priest, the son of Josedech, and let all the people of the land strengthen themselves, saith Jehovah, and work, for I am with you, saith Jehovah Almighty. 5. And my spirit remains in the midst of you, be of good courage. 6. For thus saith Jehovah Almighty, yet once I will shake the heaven, and the earth, and the sea, and the dry land. 7. And I will shake all nations, and the choice portions of all the nations shall come. And I will fill this house with glory, saith Jehovah Almighty. 8. Mine is the silver, and mine the gold, saith Jehovah Almighty. 9. For the glory of this house shall be great, the latter more than the former, saith Jehovah Almighty. And in this place will I give peace, saith Jehovah Almighty, even peace of soul for a possession to every one that builds, to raise up this temple. 10. On the 24th day of the 9th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, the word of Jehovah came to Aggeus the prophet, saying, 11. Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, inquire now of the priest concerning the law, saying, 12. If a man should take holy flesh in the skirt of his garment, and the skirt of his garment should touch bread, or pottage, or wine, or oil, or any meat, shall it be holy? And the priest answered and said, No. 13. And Aggeus said, If a defiled person who is unclean by reason of a dead body touch any of these, shall it be defiled? And the priest answered and said, It shall be defiled. 14. And Aggeus answered and said, So is this people, and so is this nation before me, saith Jehovah, and so are all the works of their hands. And whosoever shall approach them, shall be defiled because of their early burdens. They shall be pained because of their toils, and ye have hated him that reproved in the gates. 15. And now consider, I pray you, from this day and beforetime, before they laid a stone on a stone in the temple of Jehovah, what manner of men ye were. 16. When ye cast into the corn bin 20 measures of barley, and there were only 10 measures of barley. And ye went to the vat to draw out 50 measures, and there were but 20. 17. I smote you with barrenness, and with blasting, and all the works of your hands with hail, yet ye return not to me, saith Jehovah. 18. Set your hearts now to think from this day and upward, from the 24th day of the 9th month, even from the day when the foundation of the temple of Jehovah was laid. 19. Consider in your hearts, whether this shall be known on the corn floor, and whether yet the vine, and the fig tree, and the pomegranate, and the olive trees that bear no fruit are with you. From this day will I bless you. 20. And the word of Jehovah came the second time to Aggeus the prophet, on the 24th day of the month, saying, 21. Speak to Zerubbabel the son of Salathiel, of the tribe of Judah, saying, I shake the heaven, and the earth, and the sea, and the dry land. 22. And I will overthrow the thrones of kings, and I will destroy the power of the kings of the nations, and I will overthrow chariots and riders, and the horses and their riders shall come down, every one by the sword striving against his brother. 23. In that day, saith Jehovah Almighty, I will take thee, O Zerubbabel, the son of Salathiel, my servant, saith Jehovah, and will make thee as a seal. For I have chosen thee, saith Jehovah Almighty.
Zechariah 1-10.
Zechariah 1, Septuagint. In the 8th month, in the 2nd year of the reign of Darius, the word of Jehovah came to Zacharias, the son of Bacharias, the son of Addo, the prophet, saying, Jehovah has been very angry with your fathers. And thou shalt say to them, Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, Turn to me, saith Jehovah of hosts, and I will turn to you, saith Jehovah of hosts. And you shall be not as your fathers, whom the prophets before charged, saying, Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, Turn ye from your evil ways and from your evil practices. But they hearkened not, and attended not to the hearken to me, saith Jehovah. Where are your fathers and prophets? Will they live forever? But ye receive my words and mine ordinances, all that I commanded in my spirit to my servants the prophets, who lived in the days of your fathers. And they answered and said, As Jehovah Almighty determined to do to us according to our ways and according to our practices, so he has done to us. On the 24th day in the 11th month, this was the month of Sabat, in the 2nd year of the reign of Darius, the word of Jehovah came to Zacharias, the son of Bacharias, the son of Addo, and the prophet, saying, I saw by night, and behold, a man mounted on a red horse, and he stood between the shady mountains, and behind him were red horses, and gray, and piebald, and white.
And I said, What are these, my Lord? And the angel spoke with me, saying, I will show you what these things are. And the man that stood between the mountains answered and said to me, These are they whom Jehovah has sent forth to go around the earth. And they answered the angel of Jehovah and stood between the mountains and said, We have gone round all the earth, and behold, all the earth is inhabited, and is at rest. And the angel of Jehovah answered and said, O Jehovah Almighty, how long wilt thou have no mercy on Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, which thou hast disregarded these 70 years? And Jehovah Almighty answered the angel and spoke with me good words and consolatory sayings. And the angel that spoke with me said to me, Cry out and say, Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, I have been jealous for Jerusalem and Zion with great jealousy. And I am very angry with the heathen that combined to attack her. For as much as I have indeed was a little angry, they combined to attack her for evil. Therefore thus saith Jehovah, I will return to Jerusalem with compassion, and my house shall be rebuilt in her, saith Jehovah Almighty, and the measuring line shall yet be stretched out over Jerusalem. And the angel that spoke with me said to me, Cry yet, and say, Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, Yet shall cities be spread abroad through prosperity, and Jehovah shall yet have mercy upon Zion, and shall choose Jerusalem. And lifted thine eyes and looked, and behold, there are 4 horns. And I said to the angel that spoke with me, What are these things, my Lord? And he said to me, These are the horns that have been scattered Judah and Israel and Jerusalem. And Jehovah shewed me these 4 artifices. And I said, What are these coming to do? And he said, These are the horns that scattered Judah, and they broke Israel into pieces, and none of them lifted up his head. And these are to come forth, to sharpen them for their hands, even the 4 horns, the nations that lifted up the horns against the land of Jehovah to scatter it. Zechariah 2, Septuagint. And I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold a man, and in his hand a measuring line. And he said to him, Whither goest thou? And he said to me, To measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth of it, and what is the length of it. And behold, the angel that spoke with me stood by, and another angel went forth to meet him, and spoke to him, saying, Run, and speak to that young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be fully inhabited by reason of the abundance of men and cattle in the midst of her. And I will be to her, saith Jehovah, a wall of fire round about, and I will be for a glory in the midst of her. Ho, ho, flee from the land of north, saith Jehovah, for I will gather you from the 4 winds of heaven, saith Jehovah, even to Zion. Deliver yourselves, ye that dwell in the daughters of Babylon. For thus saith Jehovah Almighty, After the glory he has sent me into the nations, and spoiled you, and he that touches you is as one that touches the apple of his eye. And behold, I bring my hand upon them, and they shall spoil to them that serve them, and they shall know that Jehovah Almighty has sent me. Rejoice, and be glad, O daughters of Zion, for behold, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, says Jehovah. And many nations shall flee to refuge to Jehovah in that day, and they shall be for a people to him, and they shall dwell in the midst of thee, and they shall know that Jehovah Almighty has sent me to thee. And Jehovah shall inherit Judah his portion in the Holy Land, and he will choose Jerusalem. Let all the flesh fear before Jehovah, for he has risen up from his holy clouds. Zechariah 3, Septuagint. And Jehovah showed me Yeshua the high priest, standing before the angel of Jehovah, and the devil stood on his right hand to resist him. And Jehovah said to the devil, Jehovah rebuke you, O devil, even Jehovah that has chosen Jerusalem rebuke thee. Behold, is it not this as a brand plucked from the fire? Now Yeshua was clothed in filthy garments, and stood before the angel. And Jehovah answered and spoke to those who stood before him, saying, Take away the filthy raiment from him. And he said to him, Behold, I have taken away thy iniquities, and clothed thee with a long robe. And placed a pure mitre on his head. So they placed a pure mitre upon his head, and clothed him with garments. And the angel of Jehovah stood by. And the angel of Jehovah testified
to Yeshua, saying, Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, If thou wilt walk in my ways and keep my charges, then shall thou judge my house. And if thou wilt diligently keep my courts, then I will give thee men to walk in the midst of this that stand here. Hear now, Yeshua the high priest, how and thy neighbors are sitting before thee, for they are diviners. For behold, I bring forth my servant, the branch. For as the stone which I have set before the face of Yeshua, on the one stone are 7 eyes. Behold, I am digging a trench, saith Jehovah Almighty, and I will search out all the iniquities of the land in one day. And in that day, saith Jehovah Almighty, he shall call together every man his neighbor, under the vine and under the fig tree. Zechariah 4, Septuagint. And the angel that talked with me returned, and awakened me, as when a man is awakened out of his sleep. And he said to me, What seest thou? And I said, I have seen, and behold, a candlestick of all gold, and its bowls upon it, and 7 lamps upon it, and 7 oil funnels to the lamp upon it, and 2 olive trees above it, one on the right of the bowl, and one on the left. And I inquired, and spoke to the angel that talked with me, saying, What are these things, my Lord? And the angel talked with me, answered, and spoke to me, saying, Knowest not that what these things are? And I said, No, my Lord. And he answered and spoke to me, saying, This is the word of Elohim to Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might, not by strength, but my spirit, says Jehovah Almighty. Who art thou, great mountain before Zerubbabel, that thou mayest prosper? Whereas I bring out the stone of the inheritance of the grace of it to the equal of my grace. And the word of Jehovah came to me, saying, The hands of Zerubbabel has been laid on the foundation of this house, and his hands shall finish it. And thou shalt know that Jehovah Almighty has sent me to thee. For who has despised small days? Surely they have rejoiced, and they shall see plummet of tin in the hand of Zerubbabel. There are 7 eyes that look upon all the earth. And I answered and said to him, What are these 2 olive trees, which are on the right and the left of the candlestick? And I asked the second time and said to him, What are the 2 branches of the olive trees that are in the side of the 2 golden pipes that pour onto and communicate with the golden bowl oil funnels? And he said to me, Knowest not what these are? And I said, No, my Lord. And he said to me, These are the 2 anointing ones that stand by Jehovah of the whole earth.
Zechariah 5, Septuagint. And I turned and lifted up my eyes, and looked, and behold, a flying sickle. And he said to me, What seest thou? And I said, I see a flying sickle, at the length of 20 cubits, and the breadth of 10 cubits. And he said to me, This is the curse that goes forth over the face of the whole earth. For every thief shall be perished with death on his side, and every false swear shall be punished on that side. And I will bring it forth, said Jehovah Almighty, and it shall be, and it shall enter in the house of the thief, and into the house of him that swears falsely by my name. And it shall rest in the midst of his house, and shall consume it, and the timber of it, and the stones of it. An angel talked with me, and went forth, and said to me, Lift up thine eyes, and see this that goes forth. And I said, What is it? And he said, This is the measure that goes forth. And he said, This is their iniquity in all the earth. And behold, a talent of lead lifted up, and behold, a woman sat on the midst of the measure. And he said, This is iniquity. And he cast it into the midst of the measure, and cast the weight of lead on the mouth of it. And I lifted up my eyes, and saw, and behold, 2 women coming forth, and the wind was in their wings, and they had storks' wings, and they lifted up the measure between the earth and the sky. And I said to the angel that spoke with me, Whither do these carry away the measure? And he said to me, To build it a house in the land of Babylon, and to prepare a place for it, and they shall set it there on his own base. Zechariah 6, Septuagint. And I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, 4 chariots coming out of between 2 mountains, and the mountains were brazen mountains. And in the first chariot were red horses, and the second chariot black horses, and in the third chariot white horses, and the fourth chariot piebald, and ash-colored horses. And I answered and said to the angel that talked with me, What are these, my Jehovah? And the angel that talked with me answered and said, These are the 4 winds of the heavens, and they are going forth to stand before Jehovah of all the earth. And as the chariot in which were the black horses, they went out to the lands of the north, and the white went out after them, and the piebald went after to the land of the south. And the ash-colored went out and looked to go and encompass the earth. And he said, Go, encompass the earth, and they encompassed the earth. And he cried out and spoke to me, saying, Behold, these go out of the land in the north, and they shall be quieted my anger in the land of the north. And the word of Jehovah came to me, saying, Take the things of the captivity of the chief of men, and for the useful men of it, and from them that have understood it, and thou shalt enter in the day of the house of Josias the son of Sophonias, and came out of Babylon. And thou shalt take silver and gold, and make crowns, and thou shalt put them upon the head of Yeshua the son of Zedek the high priest. And thou shalt say to him, Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, Behold, the man whose name is in the branch, and he shall spring up in this stem, and build the house of Jehovah. And he shall receive power, and shall sit and rule on his throne. And there shall be as a priest on his right hand, and peaceable counselor shall between them both. And the crown shall be to them that wait patiently, and to the useful men of the captivity, and to them that have known it, and for the favor of the son of Sophonias, and for the psalms in the house of Jehovah. And they that are far from them shall come and build in the house of Jehovah, and they shall know that Jehovah Almighty has sent to you, and this shall come to pass, if ye will diligently hearken to the voice of Jehovah your Elohim. Zechariah 7, Septuagint. And it came to pass in the 4th year of Darius the king, that the word of Jehovah came to Zacharias on the 4th day of the 9th month, which is Cheslu. And Saras and Arbesir the king and his men sent to Bethel, and that to appropriate Jehovah, speaking to the priests that were there in the house of Jehovah Almighty, and to the prophets, saying, Holy offering has come hither in the 1st month, as is done already many years. And the word of Jehovah of hosts came to me, saying, Speak to the whole people of the land, and to the priests, saying, Though ye fasted or lamented in the 5th and 7th months, yea, behold, these 70 years, have ye at all fasted to me? And if ye eat and drink, do you not eat and drink for yourselves? Are not these the words of Jehovah which spoke to the former prophets when Jerusalem was inhabited and in prosperity, and her cities round about her, and the hill country and the low country are inhabited? And the word of Jehovah came to Zechariah, saying, Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, Righteous judge judgment, and deal mercifully in the compassionate every one to his brother. And oppress not the widow, or the fatherless, or the stranger, or the poor, and let not one of you remember in his heart the injury of his brother. But they refused to attend, and madly turned their back, and made their ears heavy so that they should not hear. And they made their heart disobedient, so as not to hearken unto my law, and the words which Jehovah Almighty sent forth by his Spirit, by the former prophets. So there was a great wrath from Jehovah Almighty. And it shall come to pass that as he spoke, that they hearken not, so that they shall cry, and I will not hearken, saith Lord Jehovah. And I will cast them out among all the nations whom they have not known, in the land behind them which they have made utter destitute of any through and returning. Yea, they have made the choice a land of desolation. Zechariah 8, Septuagint. And the word of Jehovah came, saying, Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, I have been jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion, for a great jealousy, and I have been jealous for her with a great fury. Thus saith Jehovah, I shall return to Zion, and dwell in the land of Israel. And Jerusalem shall be called a true city, and the mountain of Jehovah Almighty, a holy mountain. Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, There shall ye dwell old men and old women in the streets of Jerusalem, everyone holding his staff in his hand of age. And the broad places in the city shall be filled with boys and girls playing in the streets thereof. Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, If it shall be impossible in the sight of the remnant of this people in those days, shall it be also impossible in my sight, says Jehovah Almighty. Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, Behold, I will save my people from the east country and the west country, and I shall bring unto them, and cause them to dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, that they shall be a people, and I will be them an Elohim, in truth and in righteousness. Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, Let your hands be strong, yea, that hear these days shall these words out of the mouth of the prophets. From the day that the house of Jehovah Almighty was founded, and to this time that the temple is built. For before those days the wages of men could not be profitable, and there could not be hire of cattle, and there could not be peace by reason of the affliction of him that went out, or to him that came in. For I would have let loose all men, every one against his neighbor. But now I will not do to the remnant of this people according to the former days, says Jehovah Almighty. But I will show peace. The vine shall yield her fruit, and the land shall yield her produce, and the heaven shall not give its due, and it will give as an inheritance all things to the remnant of my people. And it shall come to pass, as you were a cause among the nations, O house of Judah and house of Israel, so I will save you. You are a blessing. Be of good courage, and strengthen your hands. For thus saith Jehovah Almighty, As I took counsel to afflict you when you were my fathers, provoked me, saith Jehovah Almighty, and I repented not. So have I prepared and taken counsel in these days to do good in Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. Be ye good courage. These are the things that which ye should do. Speak truth every one to his neighbor. Judge truth and peaceably judgment in your gates. And let none of you devise evil in your heart against his neighbor. Love not a false oath, for all these things I hate, says Jehovah Almighty. For the word of Jehovah Almighty came to me, saying, Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, The 4th fast, the 5th fast, and the 7th fast, and the 10th fast shall be to the house of Judah for joy and gladness. For the good feasts ye shall rejoice. Love ye the truth and peace. Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, Yet shall many peoples come, and the inhabitants of many cities, and the inhabitants of 5 cities shall come together in one city, saying, Let us go to make supplication to Jehovah, and seek the face of Jehovah Almighty. I will go also. And many peoples and many nations shall come to seek earnestly the face of Jehovah Almighty in Jerusalem, to obtain favor of Jehovah. Thus saith Jehovah Almighty, In those days my word shall be fulfilled, if 10 men of all languages and nations should take hold of even the hem of a Jew, saying, We will go with thee, for we have heard the Elohim is with you. Zechariah 9, Septuagint. The burden of the word of Jehovah in the land of Sedrach, and his sacrifice shall be in Damascus, for Jehovah looks upon men and upon all the tribes of Israel. And Emmath, even in her coasts, are Tyre and Sidon, because they were very wise. And Tyrus built strongholds for herself, and heaped up silver as dust, and gathered gold as the mine of the ways. And therefore Jehovah will take them for possession, and will smite her power in the sea, and she shall be consumed with fire. And Askelon shall see and fear, Gaza also, and shall be greatly pained, and Acharon, for she is ashamed at her trespass, and the king shall perish from Gaza, and Ashkelon shall not be inhabited. And the aliens shall dwell in Astus, and will bring down the pride of the Philistines. And I will take their blood out of their mouth, and their abominations from between their teeth, and these also shall be left to our Elohim, and they shall be as a captain of 1,000 in Judah, and Acharon as the Jebusite. And I will set up a defense of my house, and they may not pass through, nor turn back, neither shall there be any more upon them to drive them away, for now have I seen with mine eyes. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Proclaim it aloud, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, the king is coming to thee, just, and as a Savior. He is meek and riding on an ass, and the young foal. And he shall destroy the chariots of Ephraim, and the horse out of Jerusalem. And the bow of war shall be utterly destroyed, and there shall be abundance and peace out of the nations. And he shall rule over the waters as far as the sea, and the rivers at the ends of the earth. And thou by the blood of thy covenant shalt set forth thy prisoners out of the pit that has no water. Ye shall dwell in strongholds, ye prisoners of the congregation, for 1 day of thy captivity will recompense thee double. For I have bent thee, O Judah, for myself as a bow. I have filled Ephraim, and I will raise up thy children, O Zion, against the children of the Greeks, and I will handle thee as the sword of a warrior. And Jehovah shall cover them, and his arrow shall go forth as lightning, and Jehovah Almighty shall bow in the trumpet, and shall proceed with the tumult of his threatening. Jehovah Almighty shall protect them, and he shall destroy them, and overwhelm them with sling stones, and they shall swallow them down as wine, and fill the bowls as the altar. And Jehovah their Elohim shall save them in that day, even his people as a flock, for the holy stones are rolled up in his land. For if he has anything good, if he has anything fair, young men shall have corn, and there shall be a fragrant wine to the virgins. Zechariah 10, Septuagint. Ask ye of Jehovah rain in season, and early in the latter rain. And Jehovah has given bright signs, and will give them abundant rain to every one grass in the field. And for the speakers have uttered grievous things, and the diviners have seen false visions, and they have spoken false dreams, and they have given vain comfort. Therefore have they fallen away like sheep, and have afflicted, because there was no healing. Mine anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I will visit the lambs, and Jehovah Elohim Almighty shall visit his flock, and the house of Judah, and he shall make them as a godly horse in war. And from him he looked, and from him he set the battle in order, and from him came the bow in anger. And from him shall come forth every oppressor together. And they shall be as warriors treading clay in the ways in war. And they shall set forth the battle in array, because Jehovah is with them. And the riders on horses shall be put to shame. And I will strengthen the horse of Judah, and save the house of Joseph. And I will settle them, because I have loved them, and they shall be as if I had not cast them off. For I am Jehovah their Elohim, and I will hear them. And they shall be as the warrior of Ephraim, and their heart shall rejoice as with wine. And their children also shall see it, and be glad, and their heart shall rejoice in Jehovah. I will make a sign to them, and gather them in. For I will redeem them, and they shall be multiplied according to their number before. And I will sow them among the people, and they are as afar off shall remember me. They shall nourish their children, and they shall return. And I will bring them again from the land of Egypt, and will gather them from among the Assyrians, and I will bring them into the land of Galaad, and the Libanus, and there shall be not even one of them left behind. And they shall pass through the narrow sea, and they shall smite the waves in the sea, and all the deep places in the river shall be dried up, and all the pride of the Assyrians shall be taken away, and the scepter of Egypt shall be removed. And I will strengthen them in Jehovah their Elohim, and they shall boast in his name, saith Jehovah.
Proverbs 19 to 21.
Proverbs 19, Septuagint. The folly of man spoils his ways, and he blames Elohim in his heart. Wealth acquires many friends, but the poor is deserted even of the friends he has. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that accuses unjustly shall not escape. Many court the favor of kings, but every bad man becomes a reproach to another man. Everyone who hates his poor brother shall also be far from friendship. Good understanding will draw near to them that know it, and the sensible that will find it. He that does much harm perfects mischief, and he that provokes words shall not escape. He that procures wisdom loves himself, and he that keeps wisdom shall find good. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and whosoever shall
kindle mischief shall perish by it. Delight shall not suit a fool, nor is it seemingly in the servants shall begin to rule with haughtiness. A merciful man is long-suffering, and his triumph overtakes transgressors. The threatening of king is like the roar of a lion, but as the dew of the grass, so is his favor. A foolish son is a disgrace of his father. Vows paid out of the hire of the harlot are not pure. Fathers divide house and substance to their children, but the wife is suited to a man by Jehovah. Cowardice possesses the effeminate man, and the soul of the sluggard shall hunger. But he that keeps commandment keeps his own soul, but he that despises his ways shall perish. He that has pity on the poor lends to Jehovah, and he will recompense him according to his gift. Chasten thy son, so that he shall be hopeful, and be not exalted in thy soul to haughtiness. A malicious man shall be severely punished, and if he commit injury, he shall also lose his life. Hear, son, the instruction of your father, that thou mayest be wise in the latter end. There are many thoughts in a man's heart, but the counsel of Jehovah abides forever. Mercy is the fruit of man, and a poor man is better than a rich liar. The fear of Jehovah is the life to a man, but he shall lodge without fear in the places where knowledge is not seen. He that unjustly hides his hand in his bosom will not even bring them up to his mouth. When the pestilence character is scourged, a simple man is made wiser. And if thou reprove a wise man, he will understand discretion. He that understands his father, or dishonors his father, drives away his mother, shall be disgraced, and shall be exposed to reproach. A son who ceased to attend to the instructions of the father will cherish evil designs. He that becomes surety to a foolish child will despise the ordinance, and the mouth of ungodly men shall drink down judgment. Scourges are preparing for the intemperate, and punishment likewise to fools. Proverbs 20, Septuagint. Wine is an intemperate thing, strong drink, full of violence, but every fool is entangled with them. The threat of a king differs not from the rage of a lion, and he that provokes him sins against his own soul. It is the glory of man to turn aside from railing, but every fool is entangled with such matters. A sluggard, when approached, is not ashamed, so also he who borrows corn in harvest. Counsel in a man's heart is deep water, but a prudent man will draw it out. A man is valuable, and a merciful man precious, but it is hard to find a faithful man. He that walks blameless in justice shall leave his children blessed. Whenever a righteous king sits on the throne, no evil thing can stand before his presence. Who will boast that he has a pure heart, and who will boldly say that he is pure from sin? A large and small weight and diverse measures are even both of them unclean before Jehovah, and so is he that makes them. A youth, when in company with godly man, will be restrained in his own devices, and then his ways shall be straight. The ear hears, the eye sees, even both of them are Jehovah's work. Love not to speak ill, lest thou be cut off, since thine eyes, and be filled with bread. The lamp of him that reviles father or mother shall be put out, and his eyeballs shall see darkness. A portion hastily gotten at first shall not be blessed in the end. Say not, I will avenge myself on my enemy, but wait on Jehovah, that he may help thee. A double weight is an abomination to Jehovah, and a deceitful balance is not good in his sight. A man's goings are directed of Jehovah. How then can a mortal man understand his ways? It is a snare to a man hastily to consecrate some of his own property, for in that case repentance comes after vowing. A wise king utterly crushes the ungodly, and will bring a weal upon them. The spirit of man is the light of Jehovah, who searches the inmost parts of the belly. Mercy and truth are the guard to the king, and will surround his throne with righteousness. Wisdom is an ornament to young men, and gray hairs are the glory of old men. Bruises and contusions befall bad men, and plagues shall become in the inward parts of their bellies. Proverbs 21. Septuagint. As a rush of water, so is the king's heart in Elohim's hand. He turns it wherever he may desire to point out. Every man seems to himself righteous, but Jehovah directs the hearts to do justly and to speak truth. More are pleasing to Elohim than the blood of sacrifices. A high-minded man is a stout-hearted in his pride, and the lamp of the wicked is sin. He that gathers treasures with a lying tongue pursues vanity on the snares of death. Destruction shall lodge with the ungodly, for they refuse to do justly. To the froward Elohim sends froward ways. To his works are pure and right. It is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than it is in plastered rooms with unrighteousness and with an open house. The soul of the ungodly shall not be pitied by any man. When an intemperate man is punished, the simple becomes wiser, and the wise man understands will receive knowledge. A righteous man understands the heart of the ungodly, and despises the ungodly for their wickedness. He that stops his heart from hearing from the poor, himself also shall cry, and there shall be none to hear him. A secret gift calms anger, but he that forbears to give stirs up strong wrath. It is the joy of the righteous to do judgment, but a holy man is abomination to evildoers. A man that wanders out of the way of righteousness shall rest in the congregation of giants. A poor man gives mirth, loving wine, oil in abundance, and the transgressor is the abomination of the righteous man. But it is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a quarrelsome and talkative and passionate wife. A desirable treasure will rest in the mouth of the wise, but a foolish man will swallow it up. The way of righteousness and mercy will find life and glory. A wise man assaults strong cities and demolishes fortresses in which the ungodly trusted. He that keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps his soul from trouble. But a self-willed and insulated man is also called a pest. He that remembers injuries is a transgressor. Desire, kill the sluggard, for his hands do not choose to do anything. A godly man entertains evil desires all day, but the righteous is unsparing, merciful, and compassionate. The sacrifices of the ungodly are abomination to Jehovah, for they offer them wickedly. A false witness shall perish, but an obedient man will speak cautiously. An ungodly man imprudently withstands his face, but the upright man himself understands his ways. There is no wisdom, there is no courage, there is no counsel against the ungodly. A horse is prepared for the day of battle, but help is of Jehovah.
Matthew 7-12.
Matthew 7:1. You shall not judge, lest you be judged. 2. For with the judgment that you judge, you will be judged, and with the measure that you measure, it will be measured to you. 3. Why do you notice a chip that is in your brother's eye, and you do not observe the plank that is in your own eye? 4. Or how do you say to your brother, let me cast out the chip from your eye, and behold, a plank is in your eye? 5. Hypocrite. First cast out the plank from your eye, and then you will see to cast out the chip from your brother's eye. 6. Do not give a sacrifice to dogs, neither throw your pearls before wild boars, lest they trample them with their feet, and return to run you through. 7. Ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock, and it will be opened to you. 8. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it is opened. 9. And who is the man among you whose son will ask him for bread and will hand him a stone? 10. And if he will ask him for a fish, will he hand him a snake? 11. If therefore you who are evil know to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him? 12. Everything whatsoever you desire that people should do for you, do likewise for them, for this is the law and the prophets. 13. Enter the narrow gate, for the gate is wide, and the road is spacious which leads to destruction, and many are those who are going in it. 14. How narrow is the gate and strict the way that leads to life, and few are those who find it. 15. Beware of false prophets who come to you in lamb's clothing, but from within they are plundering wolves. 16. But by their fruit you will know them. Do they gather grapes from thorns or figs from thistles? 17. So every good tree produces good fruit, but a bad tree produces bad fruit. 18. A good tree is not able to produce bad fruit, neither a bad tree to produce good fruit. 19. Every tree that does not produce good fruit is cut down and falls into the fire. 20. Therefore by their fruit you will know them. 21. It is not everyone that says to me, my Lord, who enters the kingdom of heaven, but whoever does the will of my Father who is in heaven. 22. Many will say to me in that day, my Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, and in your name have cast out demons, and have done many mighty works in your name? 23. And then I will confess to them, I have never known you, remove yourselves far from me, you workers of evil. 24. Everyone therefore who hears these my words, and does them, will be likened to the wise man who built his house on solid rock. 25. And the rain descended and the floods came and the wind blew, and they rushed against the house, and it did not fall, for its foundation was laid on solid rock. 26. And everyone who hears these my words, but does not practice them, will be likened to the foolish man who built his house on sand. 27. And the rain descended and the floods came, and the wind blew, and they rushed against that house, and it fell, and its fall was great. 28. And when Yeshua had finished these words, the crowds were marveling at his teaching. 29. For he was teaching them as one having authority and not as their scribes and the Pharisees.
Matthew 8, OANT. But when he came down from the mountain, great crowds followed him. And behold, a certain leper came worshipping him. And he said, My Lord, if you are willing, are you able to purify me? And Yeshua stretched out his hand, touching him. And he said, I am willing. Be purified. And at that moment the leprosy was purged. And Yeshua said to him, Take heed that you speak to no one, but go show yourself to the priest and bring a gift as Moses commanded for their testimony. But when Yeshua entered Capernaum, a certain centurion approached him, and he prayed to him. And he said, My Elohim, my boy, is lying in the house, and is paralyzed, and he is badly tormented. And Yeshua said to him, I shall come and heal him. That centurion answered, said, My Lord, I am not worthy that you should enter under my roof, but only say the word, and my boy will be healed. I also am a man under authority, and soldiers under my hand. And I say to this one, Go, and he goes, and to another, Come, and he comes, and to my servant, Do this, and he does. But when Yeshua heard, he was amazed, and he said to them, With that came with him. Truly I say to you, that not even in Israel have I found faith like this. But I say to you that many will come from the east and from the west, and will recline with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom will be cast out into outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Yeshua said to the centurion, Go, it will be done for you just as you have believed. And his boy was healed at that moment. And Yeshua came to Simeon's house, and he saw his mother-in-law, who lay a fever, and seized her. And he touched her hand, and the fever left her. And she arose, and she was waiting on him. And when it was evening, they brought many demon-possessed before him. And he cast their demons out with a word. And all those who had become ill, he healed them, so that they would be fulfilled, which was said by Isaiah the prophet, who said, He will take our pains, and he will bear our sicknesses. But when Yeshua saw the great crowds surrounding him, he ordered that they go to the shore. One scribe came near and said to him, Rabbi, I shall come after you, wherever you go. And Yeshua said to him, Foxes have lairs, and birds have the sky as shelter, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. And another of his disciples said to him, My Elohim, allow me first to go bury my father. But Yeshua said to him, Come after me, and let the dead bury their dead. And when Yeshua came up into the ship, his disciples came up with him. And behold, a great earthquake occurred in the sea, so that the galley would be covered from the waves. But Yeshua was asleep. And his disciples approached to awaken him. And they were saying to him, Our Elohim, save us. We are being destroyed. And Yeshua said to them, Why are you afraid, you of small faith? And then he arose and rebuked the wind and the sea, and there was a great calm. But the men were shocked and said, Who is this, that the wind and the seas obey him? When Yeshua came to the other side of the region of the Gardenas, 2 demoniacs met him, who came out from the graveyard, extremely evil, so that no man could pass on that road. And they cried out, and they were saying, What do you have to do with you, Yeshua, son of Jehovah? Have you come before time to punish us? But there was a distance from them a herd of many pigs grazing. But those demons were begging him and saying, "If you cast us out, allow us to go into the herd of pigs." And Yeshua said to them, "Go." And at once they came out and entered into the pigs, and the whole herd went straight over the cliff and fell into the sea and died in the water. But those who had been herding them fled, and went to the city and revealed everything that had happened about the demoniacs. And the whole city came out to meet with Yeshua. And when they saw him, they begged him to depart from their borders.
Matthew 9, OANT. And going up into the ship and crossing over, they brought him to a paralytic as lay in the pallet. And Yeshua saw their faith, and he said to the paralytic, "Take heart, my son, your sins are forgiven you." And some of the scribes said amongst themselves, "This man blasphemes." But Yeshua knew their thinking, and he said to them, "Why do you think evil things in your heart? For which is easier to say, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Arise and walk'? But that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on the earth to forgive sins, I say to this paralytic, stand up, take your pallet, and go to your house." And he stood up and went to his house. And when the crowd saw, they were awestruck, and they glorified Elohim, who gave authority like this to the children of men. And when Yeshua passed by there, he saw a man sitting at a tax collection booth, whose name was Mattai. And he said to him, "Come after me." And rising, he went after him. And when he reclined in his house, tax gatherers and many sinners came, and they reclined to eat Yeshua and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw that, they were saying to his disciples, "Why does your master eat with tax collectors and sinners?" And when Yeshua heard, he said to them, "The healthy do need a doctor, but those who have become ill. Go, learn what this says. I require mercy and not sacrifice, for I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." Then the disciples of Yohanan approached him, and they were saying, "Why are we and the Pharisees fasting much, and your disciples are not fasting?" And Yeshua said to them, "How can the children of the bridal chamber fast as long as the groom is with them? But the days are coming when the groom will be taken from them, and they will fast. No man places a new patch of cloth of old coat, lest his fullness tears from that coat, and rip would be greater. Neither do they put new wine in old wineskins, lest the wineskins burst, and the wine is spilled, and the wineskins are destroyed. But they put new wine in new wineskins, and both are preserved." But as he was speaking these things with them, a certain ruler approached, bowing, and he said, "My daughter is dying even now. But come, lay your hands on her, and she will live." And Yeshua rose and his disciples, and they went after him. And behold, a woman who had a flow of blood for 12 years came from behind, and she touched the hem of his garment. And she was saying in herself, "If only I touch his clothes, I shall be healed." But Yeshua turned and saw her, and he said to her, "Take heart, my daughter, for your faith has saved you." And the woman was healed from that. And Yeshua came to the house of the ruler, and he saw the chanters and the crowd that was upset. And he said to them, "Get out, for the girl is not dead, for she is asleep." And they were laughing at him. Then when he sent the crowd out, he entered, and he took her by her hand, and the girl arose. And the report went out into all the land. And when Yeshua passed from there, 2 blind men followed him, who cried out, and they were saying, "Have pity on us, Son of David." But when he had come to the house, those blind men came near to him. And Yeshua said to them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" And they were saying to him, "Yes." Then he touched their eyes, and he said, "Just as you've believed, let it be done for you." And at once their eyes were opened, and Yeshua admonished them, and he said, "See, no man knows this." But they went forth, and they announced it into all the area. And when Yeshua went out, they brought to him a deaf mute, who had a demon upon him. And when the demon went forth, the deaf mute spoke, and the crowds were astonished, and they were saying, "Never has this thus been seen in Israel." But the Pharisees were saying, "By the prince of demons he cast out demons." And Yeshua was traveling about in all the cities and the villages, and he was teaching in their assemblies, preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing all diseases and all ailments. But when Yeshua saw the crowds, he felt pity for them, for they were weary and wandering like sheep without a shepherd. And he said to his disciples, "The harvest is great, and the laborers are few. Request, therefore, of the Lord of the harvest to send laborers into his harvest."
Matthew 10, OANT. And he called his 12 disciples, and he gave them authority over foul spirits to cast them out and heal every ailment and disease. But the name of the 12 apostles were these: the first of them, Simeon, who was called Kepha, Andreas, his brother, and Jacob bar Zebedee, and Johanan, his brother, and Philibus bar Ptolemy, and Thomas, and Mattei the tax collector, and Jacob bar Halphi, and Lebiah, who was called Thadai, and Simeon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariota, he who betrayed him. These 12 Yeshua sent, and he commanded them. And he said, You shall not go out by a road of the heathen, and you shall not enter a city of the Samaritans. But go especially to the sheep that have been lost of the house of Israel. As you are going, preach and say, Kingdom of heaven has come near. Heal the sick, purify the lepers, cast out demons. Freely as you have received, freely give. You shall not retain gold, neither silver nor copper in your money bags, neither wallet for any way, nor 2 coats, neither shoes, nor staff, for laborer is worthy of his provisions. Whichever city or village you enter, ask who is worthy of it, and stay there until you leave. And when you enter a household, invoke the peace of the household. And if that household is worthy, your blessing of peace will come upon it. But if not, your blessing of peace will return to you. But whosoever does not receive you, neither listens to your words, when you depart from the house or from the village, shake the sand off your feet. And truly I say to you, it will be tranquil in the day of judgment for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah, compared to that city. Behold, I am sending you as lambs amongst wolves. Be therefore crafty as snakes, and innocent as doves. And beware of the children of men, that they will deceive you to the courts, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And they will bring you before governors and kings, because of me, for their testimony, and of the Gentiles. But when you arrest you, do not be anxious how or what you will speak, for it will be given to you in that hour what you should say. For it will not be to you speaking, but for the Spirit of your Father speaking in you. But brother will deliver brother to death, and father his son, and children will rise against their parents, and will put them to death. And you will be hated by everyone because of my name, but whoever will endure to the end, he will be saved. But when they persecuted you in the city, flee to another. For truly I say to you, you will not have finished all the cities of the house of Israel until the Son of Man come. No disciple is greater than his master, neither a servant than his Lord. It is enough for a disciple to be like his master, and a servant to be like his Lord. If they have called the Lord of the house Beelzebub, how much more the children of his household? Therefore, you shall not be afraid of them, for there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, or hidden that it will not be known. Whatever I tell you in darkness, say it in the light. Whatever you hear in your ears, preach to the rooftops. And you shall not be afraid of those who kill the body. They are not able to kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of him who can destroy the soul and the body in Gehenna. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny, and not one of them falls to the ground apart from the Father? But your hair on your head are numbered. You shall not be afraid, therefore. You are better than many sparrows. Everyone, therefore, who will confess me before children of men, I shall confess him before the Father who is in heaven. But whoever will deny me before the children of men, I will deny him before my Father who is in heaven. Think not that I have come to bring peace in the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. I have come to divide a man against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies will be the members of his household. Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and whoever loves son and daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And everyone who does not take his cross and come after me is not worthy of me. Whoever will find his life will lose it, and whoever will lose his life for my sake will find it. Whoever receives you receives me, and whoever receives me receives him who sent me. Whoever receives a prophet in the name of the prophet receives the reward of a prophet. And whoever receives the righteous one in the name of the righteous one receives the reward of the righteous one. And everyone who gives one of these little ones a cup of cold water, only to drink, in the name of a disciple, amen, I say to you, he will not lose his reward.
Matthew 11, OANT. So it was when Yeshua had finished charging his 12 disciples, he moved from to teach and to preach in their cities. But when Yohanan had heard in prison that the works of Messiah
he sent by his disciples. And he said to him, Are you who comes, or is another we expect? Yeshua answered and said to them, Go relate to Yohanan those things that you hear and see. Those who are blind see, and those who are lame walk, and lepers are being purified. Those once deaf are hearing, and those who died are raising, and those who were poor are given the good news. And blessed is he who will not be suspicious of me. But when they departed, Yeshua began to say to the crowds about Yohanan, What did you go out in the wilderness to see? A reed shaken in the wind? Otherwise, what did you go out to see? A man who wears long soft robe? Behold, those who wear soft things are in the house of the king. Otherwise, what did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I say to you, more than a prophet. For this is he about whom it is written, Behold, I am sending my messenger before your presence, that he may prepare the road before you. Amen, I say to you, that among them born of women there is not one risen a greater than Yohanan the baptizer, but a little one in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. From the days of Yohanan the baptizer until the hour the kingdom of heaven is led by force, and the violent seize it. All the prophets in the written law are prophesied until Yohanan. And if you will, he is Elijah who has come. Whoever has an ear, let him hear. But to what shall I liken this generation? Is it like children sitting in the street and calling their playmates, and saying, We sang to you, and you did not dance, and we cried for you, and you were not sad? For Yohanan came, who ate nothing and drank nothing, and they said, He has a demon. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they said, Behold, the man is a glutton and a wine drinker, a friend of tax collectors and sinners, and wisdom is justified by its works. Then Yeshua began to reproach those cities which had many mighty works occurred, and they did not repent. And he said, Woe to you, Chorazin! Woe to you, Bethsaida! And if those powerful works which have occurred in you had occurred in Tyre and Sidon, they doubtless would have repented in sackcloth and ashes. Yet I say to you that in Tyre and Sidon it will be tranquil in the day of judgment compared to you. And you, Capernaum, which has been exalted into heaven, you will descend to Sheol. For it mighty works have been done in Sodom, which have been done in you, it would have remained until this day. But I say to you, it would be tranquil for the land of Sodom in the day of judgment compared to you. At that time Yeshua answered and said, Thank you, my Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things from the wise and the intelligent, and you have revealed them to infants. Yes, my Father, so it is desirable before you. Everything has been given to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father only. Also no man knows the Father except the Son only, and he to whom the Son desires to reveal him. Come unto me, all you who labor and forced to bear burdens, and it shall be given rest to you. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am peaceful and meek in my heart, and you will find rest in your souls. For my yoke is pleasant and my burden is light. Matthew 12, A, O, and T. At the time Yeshua was walking on the Sabbath in the grain fields, and his disciples were hungry, and they began plucking the ears of grain that they were eating. But when the Pharisees saw them, they were saying to him, Behold, your disciples are doing something that is illegal on the Sabbath. But he said to them, You have not read what David did when he was hungry, and those who were with him, how he entered into the house of Elo-heem, and he ate the bread of the table of the Lord Jehovah, that which was not legal for him to eat, neither for those who were with him, but rather for the priests only? Or have you not read in the written law that the priests in the temple profaned the Sabbath and are blameless? But I say to you, one greater than the temple is here. But if you had known what this was, I want mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned those who are blameless. For the Son of Man is the master of the Sabbath. And Yeshua departed from there, and he came to their synagogue. One man was there whose hand was withered, and they were asking him, and they were saying, It is illegal to heal on the Sabbath, so that they might accuse him. And he said to them, Who is the man among you who has one sheep, and if it falls into a pit on the Sabbath day, will not take hold of it and lift it out? how much greater is a man than a sheep? Therefore, it is legal to do good on the Sabbath." And then he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he stretched out his hand, and it was restored like the others. And the Pharisee went out, and they took counsel against him, so they might destroy him. But Yeshua knew, and he moved from there, and great crowds went after him, and he healed all of them. And he warned them that they should not reveal him, that the thing would be fulfilled that was spoken of Isaiah the prophet, which says, "Behold my servant in whom I delight, my beloved, for whom my soul longed, and I shall put my spirit upon him, and he will preach judgment to the nations. And I will not dispute, neither will he cry out, nor will a man hear his voice in the streets. He will not break off a fractured reed, and a lamp that flickers he will not extinguish until he would bring the verdict of innocence. And in his name the nations will hope." But when they brought him to a certain demoniac, mute and blind, and he healed him so that the mute and blind man could speak and see, all the crowds were astonished, and they were saying, "Is this not the son of David?" But the Pharisees, when they heard, they were saying, "This one does not cast out demons except by Beelzebub, the prince of demons." But Yeshua knew their designs, and he said to them, "Every kingdom that is divided against itself will be destroyed, and every house and city that is divided against itself will not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he has been divided against himself. How therefore will his kingdom stand? And if I am casting out demons by Beelzebub, by whom do your sons cast them out? Therefore they will be your judges. And if I am casting out demons by the spirit of Elohim, the kingdom of Elohim has come near to you. For how can a man enter the house of a mighty man and plunder his goods, unless he first bind the mighty man? Then he may plunder his house. Whoever is not with me is against me. Whoever does not gather with me is truly scattering. Therefore I say to you, all sins and blasphemies will be forgiven to the children of men, but blasphemy that is against the Spirit will not be forgiven of the children of men. Everyone who will say a word against the Son of Man, it will be forgiven him. But whoever will speak against the Spirit of holiness, it will not be forgiven of him. Not in this world, neither in the world that is being prepared. Either make the tree good, and its fruit good, or make the tree bad, and its fruit bad. For the tree is known by its fruits. Offspring of vipers, how can you who are evil speak good things? For from the fullness of the heart the mouth speaks. A good man from a good treasure brings good things, and an evil man from an evil treasure brings evil things. For I say to you that every idle word that people will speak, they will give an answer for it in the day of judgment. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Then some of the scribes and Pharisees responded, and they were saying to him, "Teacher, we wish to see a sign from you." But he answered and said to them, "An evil and adulterous generation seeks a sign, and a sign will not be given to it except the sign of Jonah the prophet. For just as Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights, thus the Son of Man will be in the heart of the earth 3 days and 3 nights. The Ninevite men will arise in the judgment with this generation, and will condemn it. And they repented at the preaching of Jonah. And behold, one greater than Jonah is here. The queen of the south will rise in the judgment of this generation, and will condemn it. For she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and behold, one greater than Solomon is here. But whenever the foul spirit goes out of a man, it wanders about in places without water in them, and it seeks rest and doesn't find it. Then it says, I shall return to my house where I come out. And it goes and finding that it is empty, swept, and decorated. Then it goes and brings in 7 other spirits worse than itself, and they enter and dwell there. And the end of that man becomes worse than in the beginning. Thus it will be done to this an evil generation. But while he was speaking to the crowds, his mother and brother came, standing outside, desiring to speak to him. And a man said to him, Behold, your mother and your brother are standing outside, and want to speak with you. But he answered and said to him, Who told him, Who is my mother, and who is my brothers? And he stretched out forth his hands towards the disciples, and said, Behold, my brother, and behold, my brothers, and my mother. For everyone who does the will of the Father, who is in heaven, The same is my brother and my sister and my mother.